Incredible. Incredible about what to do.
Oh, Kramnik knows what to do in such situations. Incredible, says Peter Lecco. Almost as incredible as his crazy dance moves. It's the 2019 World Blitz Chess Championship. We're on a break day in Norway Chess 2024, so we're rewinding to an oldie and a goldie. Vladimir Kramnik opens up with the English in Moscow, Russia. This was round 15, Blitz Chess, and Hikaru goes for knight f6, knight c3 and e5. A Sicilian with colours reversed. It's over the board chess. This is a classic. We get knight f3, knight c6, the four horsemen of the apocalypse galloping into the game, and Hikaru loses on time. 0 minutes on the left. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks very much. No, for some reason the clock had a malfunction. Major breakdown. It kind of dips in and out as the game goes on. But we're cracking on. Hikaru fights for the centre. Kramnik takes. Knight recaptures here. And he goes for one of his favourite pawn structures. Yes, Hikaru can take BC, and white's got this backwards weakened pawn, but it's a very dynamic position, as we're gonna see. Hikaru plays the principled bishop development, and keep your eye on that d4 square. Great strategic battle around that one. Bishop e2, queen e7, both players castle, grandmasterly chess. Queen c2, activating the lady, and now Hikaru goes for bishop to g4 here. But after h3, big bad Vlad putting the question to that sniper. Hikaru doesn't capture, which in a way looks logical. Saddle white with this bad bishop, staring at its own colour pawns, and then fight for d4. Instead, we see bishop h5. King h1, a little over precautious perhaps. Hikaru keeps bringing the firepower on that backwards pawn, and now anyone for a knight maneuver? Love a chess notation joke, full on nerding out, and now we see these bishops leaving the board. It does weaken this pawn. This is one of the advantages of trading that bishop pair, and now Hikaru plays a move that looks pure patzer until you understand the idea. Pawn to b5. Somehow there's a lash out element to it. You weaken these pawns, weaken the knight, but the point is push on, undermine the pawn, undermine the d4 square. So bishop e3 from Kramnik. Now we get b4. Hikaru continuing with the plan, and the game kicks into another gear because Kramnik captures here, knight recaptures, and rook c1 now intensifies the pressure on that bishop. So Hikaru feels obliged to take on e3. It is the best move. Queen takes, looking kinda natural, but then you drop this pawn, not good. So this one played instead. Also a great move, of course, opening the rook, covering the square. d4 could be on the cards, and after rook d6 from Hikaru, ideas of backpedaling the knight, maybe doubling the rooks. Big bad Vlad just goes into overdrive here. Former world champion at his best. He doesn't yet go a3, encourage the knight back. He goes rook c4. Really tricky move. The knight pressured and no longer defended by the queen. And if you go, say, I don't know, rook here or something, well then the pressure can start intensifying with something like this. Huge pressure down the line. So instead, excuse me, we see rook c6 from Hikaru, challenging that rook here, also opening the defense of this one with the queen. What does Kramnik do? Does he play the obvious and then knight recaptures, whoops, and then maybe knight f3, rook c1? No, he plays the excellent pawn to d4. The whole position just exploding. Love this move. This is what the top guys do. They are absolutely sparring here. He's now protecting his rook. So Hikaru takes, pawn recaptures, and then how about this for a switcheroo? Rook to e6, attacking the newly weakened pawn. And how do you actually defend it? You know, the knight can't come to the aid. If you push on like this to open up the defense, well then there's a problem. Knight takes, you're in a pin here, no good. And if you go with this one, well now you've given up this massive d5 square. There's some issues for white trying to hold these hanging pawns. So what does Kramnik do? queen to d2. Classy chess, low on time. Hikaru at full on 0, apparently, but that's a load of rubbish. And so there's no time to take the pawn. So rook b8 covers that knight. a3 now played to drive it back, and it's got to retreat to a6, because if you come to c6, d5 is on the way. I mean, queen c3 to intensify the pressure first, bit more accurate. You know, knight e5 is coming. If you go it too fast, it's not good. So Hikaru's got to hit this miserable square. Rook a4, the most precise, but Kramnik plays this fascinating move of knight f3. Rook a4 was top, because then the rook can't take, or the knight drops. Now, Hikaru's given a pawn, which he takes. From memory, he's got about 20 seconds here. Kramnik a minute or so ahead. This is his sneaky idea. Fine, have the pawn, but look at my pieces. I'm on f7. I'm threatening knight c6, going to Forktown. How are you covering everything? Well, Hikaru takes on a3. Best move, he's now threatening to come in here, exchange stuff, and now queen g5, top move of the engine. If f6, then there's queen f5, hitting a loose rook. Very sneaky, very deadly. But Kramnik misses it. He goes queen c2. Such a natural move also. Hits a loose rook, but queen e3. Just holding on to that one. Centralizing. Rook a4. This is still the massive problem in Hikaru's position. Terrible pony, and after rook takes on d4, Hikaru's playing for a trick, but it's not working well. He's saying, you take my horse, I take your horse, and if you try for knight c6, forking my rooks, well then I simply take your rook. You haven't got time for that. Now the best move for white here is either queen a2 or queen a5, f5, sorry, threatening this devastation on f7. But Kramnik misses it. He instead goes for takes on d4, queen recaptures, and then knight c6, forking, and the way the variation plays out, he wins a piece, but it's not simple. Now he can't yet take the rook, or else you lose your queen. So the queen moves, hits the knight, hits the f7 pawn. That's why we now see queen b3, again offering an exchange. X-ray defending f7, so queen takes on a6 played. The knight has well and truly dropped off the board. No time for rook b6 or queen c8 check comes. You get him branked, that's check and mate. So Hikaru goes rook e8 here, and Vladimir Kramnik goes knight e7 check. He starts shaking his head, looking at the ceiling. Oh no, my knight. Trying to trick Hikaru, poker face. But Hikaru's too good. He sees it, goes king f8, I'm not touching your knight, getting branked, and now knight f5. Kramnik, an entire piece up. Hikaru does have 3 pawns, but not for long. Only 2 pawns to the good. World champion here, former world champion. Surely he's converting this. We get queen e5, queen f2 back, f6 played, queen c2 sliding across. They're low on time here. They're smashing the hell out of the clock. g6 now played, knight h4 on the rim and dim, but headed back to f3. Queen e7, rook e7, sorry. Knight f3 back, hits the queen. Hikaru sees it. He's the Blitz #1 at this time, and now he offers an exchange. And just like in yesterday's video, the white queen having none of it. Here Hikaru's begging. White's like, nah. It goes on and on and on. It's getting pathetic. The black queen desperate to play, but finally the white one slides away, and you can't keep offering that exchange. The knight covers the square. So the king steps up, covers f6. Now we see rook e1. Queen c5 just saves the day, covers this rook, and now Kramnik should go rook c1. Keep pieces on the board, keep probing. Eventually, your 3 pieces against 2 should tell. But instead, he takes off. What a noob. Now the queen recaptures. He's made Hikaru's drawing chances so much easier. We get this queen coming into c3, keeping an eye on this pawn. c5 from Hikaru, queen c4 blockading, queen d6 now, queen e2. The player's on seconds, and Hikaru starts running down Harry the h pawn. He's looking to create that clamp around the white king. The knight's rotating into c4, h4, knight c4, queen hit, centralized. Look at that monster, like a black widow spider, 8 legs in all directions here. And after check, king h6, queen e2 back, Hikaru staggers up the board slightly, but he's just teasing. Now he steps back. We get knight f3, hits that queen and a pawn, Hikaru staying on the dark squared complex, queen c2 played, and Hikaru now runs the pawn. Explosive move as ever, we can see it on the evaluation bar. Kramnik is winning, but this takes technique. He brings the knight to d2, the pawn's about to drop, but queen f2, what a tricky move. Threatening a perpetual check, and of course creating this pin on the queen. So queen c3, really natural, break the pin, cover g3, now we get check, king h2 and king g7. Hikaru just waiting because still there's a zugzwang. You can't take with the knight or the queen drops, take with the queen, the knight drops here. So Kramnik centralizes his queen, but it allows Hikaru a perpetual. But what else to do? He can't bring the queen here or here, the pawn covers. Queen can't come here, and if you go queen c2, well still you're allowing this perpetual check. So queen d4 was played, but Hikaru starts the yo-yo effect. Vladimir Kramnik cannot believe it, a peaceful result, draw agreed, and there's only one thing to be done. When you're a former world champion and you can't even win a piece ahead against Hikaru.
Okay, let's do the procedure. Block. This is first what I do.
Incredible. Incredible what to do. Yeah.
Thanks very much for watching. Do smash subscribe if you want to be a future Grandmaster and see another exceptional game of chess between Hikaru and Magnus. Check out the video on screen. Thanks very much for watching and see you soon.